In this video, we're going to be talking about the First Home Super Saver Scheme. Now, Emily and I actually used the First Home Super Saver Scheme, which is a bit of a mouthful, to buy our very first home back in 2018. So who is exactly eligible for the First Home Super Saver Scheme? At this point in time, you need to be 18 years or older. You need to have never owned property in Australia. This includes things like investment properties, vacant land, commercial property, or interest in a title on land in Australia. You also need to have not made a request before for the First Home Super Saver Scheme. Eligibility is assessed on an individual basis. This means if you're in a couple, both you and your partner get your own thresholds and own access to the First Home Super Saver Scheme. Emily and I did exactly that. We were one of the first adopters and the first people to actually withdraw their money from their super fund as part of this scheme. And we both had our own thresholds and were able to maximize our thresholds and maximize our contributions to withdraw the most amount of money we could to go towards our first home deposit. Now, we ended up saving something like $10,000 extra because of this scheme, so it was well worth it for us at the time. There was a few forms to fill out and it was a bit of a process to withdraw the money, but it was definitely worth that $10,000 saving in the end. So now you know whether you're eligible or not, what does the scheme exactly do? The First Home Super Saver Scheme essentially allows you to save more money towards your first home deposit. The way it's done is through your superannuation fund, and it basically allows you to reduce your tax so you can save a larger deposit in a shorter period of time. From the 1st of July 2018, you are able to release your funds from your super fund to go towards a deposit. And we purchased our very first property in around September 2018, so it was great timing for us. Now, you need to occupy the premises you buy here, or you need to have the intention to occupy it as soon as it's available if you're doing a new build. So it's not for people who want to buy an investment property, it's only for people who are planning on buying their first home and living in it for at least 12 months. You can currently apply to have $15,000 of voluntary contributions each financial year. So essentially what this means is you can have $15,000 in your superannuation fund in year 1 and another $15,000 contributed in year 2, and you're able to withdraw up to $30,000. From the 1st of July 2022, the limit of the amount you can withdraw is actually going to increase from $30,000 to $50,000. Now, Emily and I did this. We both maximized our contributions. We salary sacrificed at work. So we essentially asked our employer, hey, can you send more money to our super fund each week? Then we wanted to make sure we put at least $15,000 each year into our superannuation fund so we could withdraw it under the scheme. So from the 1st of July 2022, they're actually going to be increasing the amount you can withdraw from $30,000 to $50,000. But the contributions you can make each year is only a maximum of $15,000 each year. It's important to note here that superannuation guarantee contributions made by your employer don't count towards this scheme. So you need to salary sacrifice in your day job or make additional non-concessional contributions to reach that $15,000 limit each year. Now, the timing of the contracts is also very important. You need to apply to the government for a First Home Super Saver Scheme determination before you go and sign a contract on a property. Emily and I were very careful when we actually did this process. We went to the government, followed the steps online, and made sure that we were able to withdraw the funds under the First Home Super Saver Scheme before we went and signed a contract on a property. Otherwise, your funds could get tied up and stuck within your super fund, and you may not be able to withdraw that money to go towards a deposit for a property. So long story short, make $15,000 worth of voluntary contributions each year. Make sure you ask the government for permission before you go and sign a contract on a property to withdraw the money from the scheme, and everything else is relatively straightforward. The massive benefits here is that it can help you build up a deposit faster rather than paying additional tax on those funds. So your tax is essentially reduced by using this scheme, and you can use that money and use your savings to buy your first home. The real secret sauce here is you don't have to live in this home for more than 12 months. As long as you use this property as your primary place of residence to begin with, and your intentions are to move and live in that property for at least a period of 12 months, then if you decide or move for your work or decide to convert the property to an investment property down the track, then you can do that without repercussions. This is a great way for first home buyers to essentially reduce their taxes and increase the amount of money they might be able to have towards a deposit. If you're looking to break into the market, an extra $5,000 or $10,000 or $20,000 if you're a couple can make a really big difference in your deposit. Increasing the contribution or the maximum amount you can withdraw from $30,000 to $50,000 I think is going to make a big difference to young couples. You can imagine if you had a husband and wife and both of them made the maximum contributions over say 3 years, so they were able to add $45,000 each in voluntary contributions to their super, they were able to withdraw that money and use it towards a deposit. Their savings could be anywhere between say $10,000 to $15,000 depending on their marginal tax rate. You can also use this scheme in conjunction with stamp duty concessions. So if you and a partner were able to save say $90,000 together over 3 years, you might have made $20,000 total in savings on tax. You can withdraw that money. You can then also use the stamp duty concessions here in Queensland. So say you bought a property for $500,000 and it was a renovator. Then you could use your $90,000. You might have to pay LMI, but put $70,000 down for a deposit, $20,000 for closing costs, and you'll be able to break into the property market and not pay stamp duty because it's your first home as well in Queensland. That's exactly what I would be doing if I was going through this process again. Emily and I would be saving in our own super funds individually, and then we combine our funds to go and buy a property probably below the stamp duty concession cap here in Queensland. Now I know it's different in different states, so definitely take a look at your own situation, but this could be a great way to fast track your investing journey and your wealth journey and get into the property market and get a roof over your head as your first home. Now this scheme applies whether you're building your first home or you're buying an established property. One of the reasons I really like the First Home Super Saver scheme is it's not super focused on new builds. New builds tend to be in large land holdings where there's lots of land supply, and buying those homes you might not see an appreciation in value over the short to mid term. I would much rather buy in established pockets, so being able to use the First Home Super Saver scheme as well as stamp duty concessions would be a great way to buy in the established market and make some savings on the way in and get into your first home. If you've got any thoughts, questions or ideas or videos you'd like me to make, then leave a comment down below, drop a like on this video, and click this video over here for more things real estate, renovating, and financial freedom. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.